Hey there, welcome to the DFS Build NBA Edition. I'm Kevin Roberts, joined with Taylor Smith. As always, we are getting together and getting ready to break down this 5-game main slate over at DraftKings. Yesterday, we did hand out some good picks, but a lot of us got burned by Denny Avdia just dying after a quarter.
And
so that was
Kyle
brutal.
Anderson.
And Kyle Anderson getting nothing, 0 points. So if you got around those two guys, you probably did pretty well, especially if you avoided Jason Tatum, who did not deliver in a smash spot. So lots of landmines yesterday. Hopefully we can avoid that tonight. Lots of news already coming in, specifically with Bradley Beal questionable. But let's get right into it. If this does help you in any way, though, please hammer that like button or smash it or hammer, whatever you want to do. Subscribe to the channel. Both those things help us out quite a bit. Turn on your notifications, too, if you want to catch these videos after you subscribe. That way you get alerted to them. And then also come join our free Discord where you can come talk shop and get picks leading into lock. You can also check out our Patreon. This is the last week of our free DraftKings main slate picks, so take advantage of it while you can, and then head over to Patreon to get access to those moving forward, as well as everything else we have to offer. All right, let's get to it. We go position by position, starting with Luka. Luka Doncic was awesome in his last 2 games, over 68 fantasy points. What are you thinking about him tonight?
More of a secondary play, I think. I can't imagine I'm going to get to him with a lot of volume. Never a fun fade necessarily, especially now that he's kind of rounded into form. But, the matchup against Minnesota is bad. He's up to 11K. Point guard, as usual, has a lot to like in the mid-range and even like the upper mid-range, the 9K area. So, last game of the night, Minnesota and all that should be a good competitive game. But as of now, I think Luke is kind of a secondary consideration for me.
Yeah, you could certainly note that he does have the best projection at the position, second best projection of the entire slate. I think, no, it's third, just behind Giannis and Jokic. And he's technically still discounted for who he's been in his career, and his ownership is pretty low. So all those things do make him interesting for tourneys, but I agree, not a priority, and it feels bad, but it is what it is. A priority we should be going after, though, is Devin Booker, 8.8K against the Pelicans. Awesome matchup. Bradley Beal's questionable, so it boosts him even more. Coming in with the second best projection at point guard. We'll note right behind him is Anthony Edwards, just $300 more, and he's going to be about half his own. So why don't you touch on those two guys and which one you prefer today?
Pretty clearly Edwards. I feel like, Booker's okay. He will get a boost if Beal is out. The usage will come up, but, I like the matchup for Edwards quite a bit. His usage has been insane since Julius Randle went down. Rudy Gobert's still out, so really like the spot against the Lakers. I'm not buying their defense uptick they've had over the last few games. I think they're going to be vulnerable. Edwards just has a very high ceiling. He's got a pretty decent floor these days after kind of sucking for the first, 2 months of the season. And he's 9,100. I just feel like the price is not really catching up to the production. I feel like he should probably be 10K at this point. And, it's just an underpay. So for nearly 2K less than Luka, I think Edwards is an amazing play tonight.
His price has actually only been coming down for some reason. Like, he hasn't really performed that differently than what he was doing before. Okay, so in 3 meetings with the Lakers, he's averaged a paltry 31 fantasy points per game. I'm definitely just sending that out there for anybody to know. And Devin Booker's a great play, but I am with you. I was already liking him when I did my Reddit write up this morning. I was thinking, if Anthony Edwards is going to be less owned because of Booker and because of his history in this matchup this year, I love Anthony Edwards if the ownership is, checking in with that logic. And right now it is. So you're getting a very similarly priced, very similarly projecting player for half the ownership. Sign me up for that. Up top here in the 9K range, and even with Steph Curry 8.6, is there anybody else that is very much on your radar?
I just wanted to say none of those Edwards games against the Lakers have come since like mid-December. And after that was when he kind of just said, fuck it. I'm not passing anymore. I'm just going to shoot every time down. So
exactly,
I'm not concerned about the game logs at all. And I hope people are. I would rather play him if people are going to be scared to play him. But beyond he and Booker in that range, Dame is tangentially viable. I like the game in general against Denver. Should be high scoring, couple of decent teams, but I think 9K is a bit rich for him with Giannis in, so not really into it. Much prefer going cheaper with someone like CJ McCollum, who's only 7,100 now. His price has come down. We've seen a pretty substantial ceiling from him on occasion. Like if he gets going in the scoring department, he's very streaky and he can kind of win you a slate on his own. I think Murphy and Zion are going to be chalky and with good reason, but CJ at that price looks really good. And then Murray is okay, kind of got into foul trouble last time, so he didn't perform too well, but good bounce back spot against Milwaukee. High usage guards against the Bucks, certainly a thing to target.
Yeah, I mean McCollum's $600 cheaper than Murray, so he definitely stands out here. Jose Alvarado too at 5.7K. Don't love it if he continues to not start, but if he starts at 5.7K with Kelly Olynyk out and the usual guys that they've been missing, plus they're going to be without they're already without Boston, and now they're also going to be without who's the other guy that I'm thinking of that they just
Bruce Brown.
Yeah, so that's not nothing. That's like 15 minutes off the bench. So a little bit of minutes opening up there either way. I think he's a good play, great play if he starts. Anybody else in the value range that you like at point guard?
Damian Baugh, I guess, if you think Charlotte gets murdered again. They've lost the last 3 games by 131 points, which is insane.
Bad.
So not a safe play, though. He's
we should touch
now
on Tyus Jones, too, though.
Yeah, I mean, if Beal's out, Jones and Grayson Allen are going to get boosts, maybe Royce O'Neal. They do have a lot of options they can cycle through, but if Jones starts, he's going to be certainly on the radar.
Yeah, 4K flat. All right, let's kick it over to shooting guard. Over there, Devin Booker leads the way. Obviously, a great play. We tend to prefer Ant, but you can play them together, or you can play either one. Trey Murphy looks awesome at 7.9K. At shooting guard and small forward specifically, he is probably the best point per dollar play if you're looking only at those spots, and if Bradley Beal is out. He looks really, really good here. Suns do not defend the 3 very well, and they're just bad in general. So he looks awesome if you get to him. Nice projection. He is going to be owned, though, so that would be the only downside there. And up top, that's probably the only guy that I feel passionate about. And then we start getting down to like Max Christie at 5.1, who looks like a really good value. Why don't you give your thoughts on those guys?
Yeah, beyond Booker and Beal, and Austin Reeves is an okay enough play. We didn't talk about him at point guard, but I think he's okay. The price is coming down on him. This probably is a value position. I think Murphy is an awesome play at the top, probably the top overall play there, like you said. Christie's good, started the last game, played upwards of 40 minutes. I wish they would stop yanking him around and just start him and let him run, but we'll see. Good spot against Charlotte, like we said. They've been getting killed every night. And then a couple other values I don't mind. Christian Brown, 5,600 against Milwaukee, playing gobs of minutes. Prices come down, guard forward eligible. And Cole Anthony, another one we didn't talk about. He's questionable, but he's been kind of in this 5K range. The first game of the night is horrible, Orlando against Golden State. I don't really want a lot of it, but
I want none of it.
Cole Anthony at that price, if he's in, has been playing pretty well lately, except for that one game when he was mega chalk. He was good in the last game, then he got hurt. So if he's in, if he's unrestricted, I think you can still take some shots on him.
Yeah, I think the big thing we've learned about Cole Anthony is when he's chalky, fade. When he's not chalky, consider him.
Robbie Ray, baby. The Robbie Ray corollary applies there.
Pretty much, man. So, I mean, I was even stacking Nats when Robbie Ray was chalky. Cole Anthony's fine. He'll be my player pool, but I don't really want to. I just don't like that game. Very slow, 2 good defensive teams. Just don't really want to do it. Grayson Allen at 4.7K is a way better play if Bradley Beal's out. Grayson in this game environment is fine at 4.7, no matter what. You can play him if he can get hot, but he looks really, really good if Beal is out. There's also Jordan Hawkins at 3.8K. He's just going to get more run. He's already been getting run. The minutes are going to be there. It's a really good game environment. Getting like the cheap exposure here instead of eating the chalk with Devin Booker, that is going to be my philosophy with this game.
Yeah, I think Hawkins is an awesome play. I wish he was, multi-position eligible, but we can't have everything we want in this life. He's 3.6 though. He's happy to get usage when he gets playing time. That's the game to target, I think, overall. Both teams look really good in that spot. So if he starts, even if he doesn't, I think he's okay. If he starts, he might be a core play for me.
Kind of almost prefer that he doesn't start because then I'll just gain his or it'll spike his ownership. So I'm interested either way. All right, over to small forward we go. LeBron leads the way with a 47-point fantasy projection. He is still expensive, but his price is coming down. Just the fact that Luka is there and kind of seems to be picking up the torch here, and he's back to being Luka. It's a little bit scary to pay a premium for LeBron, but he's not going to be owned, so that's something. Not interested in Franz Wagner. Like I said, love Trey Murphy. Like I said, the only other guy I mentioned up top is going to be Zion, who looks really, really good here. Was terrible last game, but the Suns have nothing they can do to stop anybody inside, and that's his game. So I like him quite a bit for tournaments.
I don't mind Zion. I just think Murphy's a far better play. At the discount we're getting, the positional eligibility is better. The minutes are extremely secure, whereas Zion is still playing under 30 every night, it
Yeah.
seems. So I think I prefer Murphy between them, but certainly both are fine. Ditto with McCollum, like we talked about. I think I would max 2 of that 3 just because you're eating a lot of salary there. Otherwise, I do like LeBron. He's under 10K now. I don't mind that game in general. Minnesota against the Lakers. Not getting a ton of LA at full strength, but I do prefer LeBron to Luca given the salaries. You're getting a 1.1K discount, so that's not nothing. Other than that, we talked about Max Christie. I think Najee Marshall's okay. PJ Washington with his perpetual questionable tag. I think Marshall either way is a pretty good play. Still sub 5K. Minutes are decent. It's Charlotte, so really no issue with that. Don't mind. I mentioned Christian Brown. Don't mind MPJ either. We just saw him have a pretty good run of form a few weeks ago. He's kind of tailed off since then, but the minutes are back on an upswing after a little injury. So I think he looks decent. And, I think Kuzma can be in your player pool, but with Giannis and Dame in, he still looks a bit expensive.
Yeah, I'll mention 2 guys. Rui, just because of minutes. I think 5.7K feels like a lot with the Lakers healthy, but he just plays a ton. So if you want a guy who's just definitely going to be out there, he is not the worst play at 5.7. And then there is also, who's the other guy I was looking at? Nick Smith Jr. Feels gross. Don't really want to play Hornets, but he's been playing a lot, 33 minutes in each of his last 4 games. So not really expensive for a guy is going to be out there for 30 plus minutes, even in a blowout. So don't mind that. Over to power forward, Giannis is my favorite stud of the slate. The Nuggets are horrific inside, which is a little bit silly when you have a 7-footer in there, but Jokic is not stopping anybody. He damn sure isn't going to stop Giannis. Doesn't really seem like he's very limited at this point anymore. This is a huge game, obviously, for the Bucks. He's going to be owned, it seems, but he's too cheap. He's just too cheap, and he's coming in with almost a 60-point fantasy projection. So he looks awesome. Really like him. The only issue is KD also looks good. There's a lot of other options, and power forward is loaded. So how do you feel about Giannis? And then just kind of trickle down into your other favorite plays here.
Yeah, I'm okay with Giannis. I just feel like it's probably another Jokic slate for me. So as of now, with limited cheap value, it's kind of hard to pair them. So if I'm down to one or the other, it's going to be Jokic for me as of now. No issue with Giannis, really. The minutes have been down, of course, but he's played 32 in back-to-back games. In theory, he could play more. So don't mind it. I would like to be in on that, but he's like Luka, more of a secondary guy for me now, with Jokic being the number one. Yeah, we talked about Zion, we talked about LeBron. I think Naz Reid still like pushing 8K, but the minutes have been insane. The role's been insane. Like this game in general, the Lakers still not buying their defense, especially in the front court with Jackson Hayes and LeBron essentially playing those positions. So happy to play him again, even at this insane salary. I remember we were playing him at like 4.7 every night, and now he's pushing 8K, but he's earned it. Other than that, we do have a lot of cheap stuff here. We mentioned Marshall, Bol if he starts again, going to be a smash, still under 5K. If he's off the bench, it's a bit scarier since his minutes are extremely volatile. But if he starts, I feel good about it. Aaron Gordon, still only 5.3. They're slow on the uptick with his price. He's been producing at a high level, not scared of the matchup against Milwaukee. And then Karlo Makovic, even if he doesn't start for New Orleans or without Kelly Olynyk, which opens up front court minutes, he's about at 0.9 points per minute on the year. So, again, love that game in general. Phoenix, not an imposing interior defense. Makovic, not exactly household name, but he's one of my highest owned players on the slate right now.
Yeah, just be wary of the whole landmine thing because undoubtedly one of those guys is going to fail. Right now, my lean is to go away from Aaron Gordon. So I think Bol and Makovic, just because of price, is the cheapest one there. Those are probably the 2 guys I want to get into my lineup if I'm doing a single entry, and I'd just be a little bit underweight on Aaron Gordon, who's weirdly enough carrying the most ownership of those guys. Mentioned PJ Washington also just looks really good for his price if he's in, and I'm
Revenge.
very yeah, there you go. I'm very with you on Naz Reid. Love him and love that you can use him as center too if you don't pay up for Jokic or Giannis. All right, so Jokic does look amazing. 63-point fantasy projection, not owned. So that's cool and interesting.
Not going to be the case.
I know, but if that ownership, if it at all, I know it really isn't. But if it does in any way stay that way, that would get me a little bit more interest in Jokic. I still do prefer Giannis. Just it's a price play, and the fact that the projection's already close, anyways. If that limit can get lifted a little bit, I'll feel a lot better. And then everybody else we talked about, KD, we kind of glossed over, but KD in the best game environment of the night looks great. Still, you can use him at power forward or center. So yeah, just give your thoughts on Jokic and why you think he is the play up top.
Well, he's Jokic.
Yeah.
So that's number one. They have a very high total. They're facing a Milwaukee defense that has not been very good lately. If Milwaukee does have a good defender, it's obviously Brook Lopez, but I really do not care about matchups when it comes to Jokic. So not worried about it. Usage has been down lately, which is a bit frustrating. But again, I feel like I'm going to play him a lot, and I'm not worried about it overall. So that's what I'm doing there. I like pairing him with Anthony Edwards and then just kind of filling out the rest of the lineup with cheap stuff from New Orleans, cheap stuff from Dallas, potentially cheap stuff from Phoenix that we could have later open up. So that's my lean as of now. Center is pretty weak otherwise. Like these other guys you can play, Giannis and KD and Nas are all power forward eligible, PJ Washington as well. And Makovich also, Aaron Gordon also. The only real other like center only options I'm looking at would be Nick Richards, Yves Missi, Jackson Hayes is down to 4-1. I think that's okay. And then Wendell Carter perpetually getting you 28 fantasy points, but for 5-2, it's not a death sentence.
Yeah. Well, I think you're just using one of those guys that also can be power forward, or you're going to get Jokic or something, because it really like that these guys can be used in a number of different ways. But yeah, so that does it for the position by position breakdown. Center is just fucking horrible. And if we didn't illustrate that enough, yeah, I know, right? But it's 5 games, so maybe that has something to do with it. Before we wrap it up here, let's give our general strategy for the night. I think we already know yours and your flag plant if you have one.
Yeah, I kind of previewed it there, pairing Jokic and Edwards and then filling out the rest with cheap stuff. Perfectly fine tonight. I feel pretty confident with this cheap stuff from Dallas, Najee Marshall, etc. And New Orleans, of course, Alvarado, Hawkins, Makovich, all good plays. And then I'm hoping stuff like Bol looks better, Grayson Allen, potentially Tyus Jones. So a lot of ways to go. I'm hoping the field chases Luka and leaves Jokic a bit lower owned than he might normally be. It is a pretty fun slate, all things considered. I think you can largely ignore the first game of the night and just kind of build into games that start at 8 Eastern or later. So that'll be my plan. I might have like one Orlando piece, but as of now, I'm getting nobody from Golden State, and I feel perfectly fine with that.
Yeah, we're kind of aligned here. It's definitely with the first game. I want nothing to do with that game, so of course it's going to be 4 OT or something stupid. I really don't think so, though, because both these teams play really good defense. They both play very well. Golden State doesn't play slow, but Orlando does, and it's in Orlando, so I feel like maybe they can dictate the pace a little bit here. It just isn't a good spot. I just don't like the ceiling on any of these guys, and like for Curry specifically, like the Magic are number 1 against the 3-pointer, like a 3-point makes in the league. So it's a bad matchup. Obviously, Curry can make me look stupid, but I don't think that's going to happen. And then honestly, I'm going to go with Giannis here. I think the 20% is going to dip, and people are going to, like you said, like if you don't think the ownership's going to stick on Jokic, what's probably going to happen is it's going to even out. It's just going to be spread out amongst those first 3 guys. So unless Giannis is like mega chalk here, I think going over on Giannis at that price feels pretty darn good. And then I do think going from Devin Booker to Ant, like you already had said, I think that's a really good way to go. I agree that Trey Murphy is a safer and better value than Zion, but Zion is another one. I guess that would be my only flag plant that would be getting very different from you, in that I think the matchup bodes very well for Zion, and the fact that recency bias is going to play into nobody wanting anything to do with him after last game, plus Murphy and McCollum and every other Pelican looking better in terms of value. So I think Zion is a very, very appealing tournament play at that price. All right, that is going to do it for us. Hopefully it helps you out. If it does, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and come join us in Discord. Thanks for watching, and good luck.